How does one get started on their money ripples journey?
I was expecting harder questions when you said naysayer, but these are great. No, these are awesome. Yeah, let's address both of them because they're both good questions, and we hear them a lot too. One, if you just feel like either one, you don't have any money, you're just starting out. Like I actually just had a guy reach out to us through our website through moneyripples.com. He's like, I'm 40 years old, recently divorced, pretty much lost my house, gave it to my ex-wife, and I'm starting over again. And he's a business owner, but he's starting from scratch. Good news is that first and foremost, I get it. I'm probably the one financial guy that won't judge you because most financial people they make it seem like they're high and mighty, they're the gurus. Everything's been bright, shiny, and happy people holding hands and all that kind of crap. But the truth is, like, I was over $1 million in debt at one point. In fact, even in the last recession. So even after I became financially independent, the market reversed, and not to mention, I started a brand new business with some partners. Perfect storm happened, and I went over $1 million in debt. And I did not file for bankruptcy, but man, it would have been easier if I did. I'll tell you that much. I had a very similar experience, even to like what Dave Ramsey had. Because I had real estate, I had businesses going on, not exactly the same, but I came out of it with a different perspective. And so just understand, I was over $1 million in debt. I was $1 million more poor than the homeless guy on the street. Okay. Um, so I know what it's like. And I was able to become financially independent the second time in 2016. So how I did that, I actually explained that a little bit on, there's a free ebook I have on moneyripples.com you can get called Beyond Rice and Beans, 7 Secrets to Free Up Cash Today. So little ode to our good old friend Dave Ramsey, right? Because a lot of times people think they just got to live on rice and beans. That's not true. You don't have to live in a cardboard box to make this work. There are ways to find and free up cash. That book actually came from all the crap I had to go through and how I had to dig out of that hole. Things like tracking your money, just starting to track it, how much is coming in, how much is going out, how can you start increasing your income, what can you do to create value for people and serve people and solve problems in a way that money is just a natural byproduct. How can you be a wise steward of the money you're given? Even debt. I have a formula in there I talk about called a cash flow index that pays off debt differently than what you might hear when people talk about snowballing the method with interest rates or with credit cards versus car loans. There's a very different way of going about it that can actually free up cash flow faster, getting you in a healthier financial position much better, in a much better way. So there's things like that, ways to save on taxes, although tax laws can change, of course, but all these kind of things that you can do to free up money. That's the first thing, is really learn how to become a wise steward of your resources that you have. Secondly, of course, income is limitless. While expenses you can only cut down so far, income is limitless. Like I said, focus on how can you go about creating value, whether it's a job, whether you're a business owner, whatever it is. How do you create value? How do you serve people and solve problems in such a way that money comes back naturally? Because people, what you got to really do is make yourself valuable, right? You got to find a way to say, how do I serve people in such a way that they know that their life is better because I'm in it? And that's true. Even if you're an employee, I don't care if you're working at a restaurant, right? And you're waiting tables or you're behind the scenes. It doesn't matter. If you show up to serve, those opportunities will show up. It may not be at that place that you're working at right now, but something else will come along that's better, that someone will take you if you own that position that you're in and work hard in a way. You don't have to work long hours, but work in a way that's smart. Let me give you a real life example of this, because I had a client that was kind of in the situation where he was about 40 years old, had a little bit of money they're saving, but it was like a couple $100 a month. It wasn't enough to make a dent, really. And so after we kind of exhausted some of the things we did, we freed up, got about $1,000 a month for him. But after that, it was like, okay, now what? And I said, well, now you're on the other half of the equation, income. And he said, well, there is an opportunity. He worked for a very well-known bank. He said, there is an opportunity for a promotion, but it's really hard to get. It's very competitive. I said, great. Well, what do you have to do to get it? I don't know. Just everybody's going to be applying for it. I said, here's what you do. And this is something everybody should write down. Go to that manager or that boss or whoever it is and ask them, what can I do to merit a raise? What can I do to actually would merit me a raise? Or in his case, what can I do to actually would get me this position? And those guys came back and said, well, if you sell more of this and this, then that will give you a lot better odds of success. And so the guy said, yep, I have till the end of the month to do it. I said, I don't care if you take an extra hour a day Like, do whatever you need to do exactly what they said. Do that. So he did. Guess what? Flash forward over 100 applicants, two were selected. He was one of the two. They called him in the office. They said, Dave, his name is Dave. He's like, Dave, do you know why we gave you that position? No. We did it because, well, the first guy that got it was the top salesperson. So we gave it to him because he was getting results. You, however, were not the top salesperson. You were good, but you weren't the great one. We picked you as our second candidate or the second person to get that promotion because you were the only one that asked us what you had to do to get it. And that impressed us so much that we gave you the second position. That position got him an extra 2,000 to 4,000 a month of income. Does that make a difference in his life? Heck yeah. That 3-week investment paid off. That's the key. Like, if you're always focused on how do I show up to serve people, how do I solve problems and give them what they want, you'll never want yourself. Do that first, then the money will follow. And it doesn't matter. I don't care if you pack it away in a piggy bank. I don't care if you put it in the bank, or the actual bank. It doesn't matter. Like, if you start doing stuff like that to find ways to free up money and to get your money, get more income coming in, that's going to resolve a lot of the problems, at least have money to work with. That's advice number one. Advice number two I would give is get your money out of prison. This is not going to be a popular thing, but it's true. Get your money out of prison. The problem is that most financial institutions are who train financial advisors. Those financial advisors also train you. Also, what you'll notice is that even the pundits out there, right, the experts, so to speak, they're also usually hired by these financial institutions, or they happen to advertise on their channels. And I'm talking about all the different news stations. You'll see that these financial stations will often have, Fidelity, The Rock, Prudential. They'll always have these companies promoting and doing stuff. So even a guy like me, it's kind of hard to get me on their show. Why? Because I basically say your stuff sucks. And they're paying them millions of dollars to advertise for them. They don't want to create that conflict of interest. So you won't get real financial education that actually works. Well, that's the big thing right there I tell you to do is that, number one, get your money out of prison. Get your money away from putting it into 401ks, because the thing is they trap your money in there. Even when you need it, you can't get it, not without taking a loan and paying interest for your own money. Or two, putting your money in equity in your house, trying to pay down your house fast. That's another thing. I'll tell you, I would have weathered the last recession much better had I not followed Dave Ramsey's advice of trying to pay off my house. Because I actually, believe it or not, used to be a Dave Ramsey fan, took that advice to heart, started trying to pay extra principal into my house because I thought, well, worst case scenario, I can always just cash out refinance if I need the money. Well, when the recession hit, those conditions didn't work anymore because banks started saying, we don't want to do any more cash out refinances. And when they started locking things up, they stopped lending money. That is what caused the real estate market to tank. Yeah, it was overinflated. Yeah, there was appraisal fraud going on. It would have come down a little bit, but it came down severely and hurt more people because of that one reason, is that banks stopped moving money. When money stops moving, when the credit dries up, that's when the economy collapses. That's one thing that's different this time around, to kind of lead into your second question. But to finish off this point is that don't put your money in prison. Don't lock it up where you can't get to it. If I had been able to get my money out, if I would not have paid all those extra payments to my mortgage, because even if you have it paid off, you don't have to fire sell it. And I did try to sell it eventually, but with everything going on crazy in the market, it would have been better off if I had that cash available to keep me in my house longer to weather that storm and then sell it later if I needed to get the cash out later. That would have been the smarter thing to do. But I didn't. I put my money in prison. I did the very thing that I shouldn't have done. That's what cost me everything.